Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about posing. I'm obviously recording in a different spot. This is my new man cave, as I'd like to call it. Fully decked out. Obviously you got the LEDs, all that fun stuff. Got the Alexa, set up my music. Just to give off a little bit of history about bodybuilding, it started off in the 1890s, going off to the early 1920s, and this was probably the first start of the new sport known as bodybuilding. It wasn't initially used as a means of posing and what we see it as today. It was mostly used to show off strength, basically, which was something that was seen as impressive back then. It was a spectacle to people because obviously it was something new. So the first bodybuilding competition took place in 1891 by none other than Eugene Sandow. This basically began the new era of bodybuilding and the new idea of an ideal body type, and this started the new trends of new magazines, new ideas basically that people were trying to seek after once this started to spread. Going ahead a little bit, I wanted to talk about the 1960s when Arnold Schwarzenegger beat Dennis Tenarino in the Mr. America competition, and this basically led him to go further into the international competition, obviously leading later into his 5 times winning of the Mr. Universe competition, and obviously his 7-time Mr. Olympia competitions. Now, Arnold starred in a movie called Pumping Iron, which obviously I hope most of you would know, where he went off basically against Lou Ferrigno in the title for Mr. Olympia. Obviously throughout this whole movie he talked about posing, obviously something very important for him. Now, something very important to go off of would be what the judges actually judge by. Starting off would be muscle masculinity, being the size of the muscle, something very important to us today. Second would be muscle definition, would be mainly the detail of the muscle. And lastly would be proportion, how symmetrical each side of the body can be. Obviously something judges look for in competitions would be the bodybuilder's weak points, which is something that is talked about in the movie Generation Iron. Obviously is to not expose weak points when posing. Now, there are 7 basic bodybuilding poses which are used in most competitions today, and we're going to go over those in just a second. I just wanted to say, if you're new to the channel and are liking the content so far, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for new content coming out. And now let's get back to the conversation. The first pose would be the front double bicep. So there are basically 3 main points. The first main point would be to keep your arm leveled, as in with your shoulders or on a parallel plane. The second point is to bring your elbow slightly forward, bringing out your chest a little bit and your lat. And the last point would be to point your finger or thumb down towards your bicep. This basically fills the space in between your arm, making it look more full and bigger. Now, the second pose is the front lat spread. Here is an example of Jay Cutler. And in this picture, he's basically bringing his hands to his side, pulling his waist forward, as well as spreading his lats to make it look like a smaller waist as well as a bigger back. And this is definitely a pose to impress the judges. Third pose, we have the side chest pose. Showing off would be Franco Columbu. Here he basically puts his back arm over his close wrist, and this basically pulls back the shoulder up, giving off the illusion of a bigger chest as well as a defined arm. As well as that, he's also flexing his calves and hamstrings, giving off that illusion, because obviously the lower body is also as equally important as the upper. Now, for this fourth pose, we have the side tricep pose, and basically for this pose, it's another picture of Jay Cutler, and basically what he's doing here is he's putting his arm behind his back and basically extending his tricep, making sure the muscle is flexed, but he's also keeping the tricep against his lat, This basically pushes out the muscle and gives the appearance of a bigger tricep. Now his leg work for this pose, he's basically putting his front heel up as well as pushing his front thigh with his back leg, giving the illusion again of a bigger leg. So for this fifth pose, we have the rear double bicep, and for this pose, basically what you want to do is flex both calves, obviously going up to your hamstring, and then what you want to do with your back is angle it backwards towards the judges, giving off that appearance of a wider back. And when you're flexing your arms, basically what you want to do is bring your elbows back slightly, but what you want to do with your wrists is bring them slightly further back than your elbow. For this sixth pose, we have the rear lat spread. Basically what you want to do for this pose is have one calf flexed going up to your hamstring, and what you're going to do with your hands is basically bring your waist forward on both sides, just like the front lat spread. This basically gives the illusion of a smaller waist and making the back look bigger in comparison. And basically you want to be leaning slightly back towards the judges, giving it a wider view. For the seventh and last pose, we have the abdominal and thigh pose. Basically for this pose, you're bringing one leg forward and flexing that to show off to the judges. And basically what you want to do with your arms is put it behind your head with your elbows pointed slightly up. And what you want to do from here is crunch your abs down and move it side to side, basically to bring out the obliques. And that concludes it for today. Obviously it was another short video. If you liked it, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content in the future, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for new content. Obviously the support definitely means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to making some new videos for you guys in the future. So that's basically it for today, guys. Have a good one.